Hi there. I haven't used this channel for a while, but I'm Kev Harrison and I'm going to read a little bit from my debut novel, Shadow of the Hidden, which came out about a week ago. Okay, this is from chapter 1. It's from around the middle of the chapter, and it's just to give you an idea of a flavour of the book and what it's about. And there is some bad language here, so if you are sensitive to swearing, then maybe don't watch the rest of the video. Anyway, here we go. Hope you like it. Among the straggle of tourists, a woman stood out. All in black, a heavy veil over her face. She was squat, robustly built, and dragged one leg as she walked. Oz took a long pull on his cigarette, then dropped it into the ashtray at the centre of the table. "Not again," he said, standing and beginning to pace in front of the bar. "What's up?" I said, concerned. I'd yet to see Oz in a state that fell outside the bounds of calm or humorous. "This widow, she's been twice this week, begging for food and stuff." I shuffled in my seat and lowered my sunglasses to get a better look. "Aren't you supposed to, help widows?" "Don't start. Mary said the same on Thursday. But she always wants the luxury stuff. Won't take bread or cheese." The woman ambled closer, then paused, leaning over the ice cream trolley. It shifted on its casters, creaking under her weight. She spoke to Oz in a pained tone, gesturing wildly towards the sun as it arced downward, then wiping her brow through the veil. Oz shook his head as he replied to her, crossing his arms, then opening them again, fiercely, as if to say, no. I turned my head at this point, more than a little embarrassed as the argument intensified. My eyes found those of the waitress at the shisha bar. She, too, looked more than a little disturbed by the exchange. She hurried back inside with a tray of empty tea glasses. The old woman's tirade continued for several minutes before she noticeably changed from Turkish to Arabic. She spat her words, the black lace of her veil moving with the force of her language. Oz backed away, mouth agape. The woman fell silent. Oz lowered himself to the ground, back against the wall of the bar, and placed his head in his hands. The old woman partially lifted her veil and spat on the ground at Oz's feet. Then she moved off, still dragging the bad leg. "What the fuck was that about?" I asked, standing and offering Oz a hand up. For at least a minute, he didn't respond. Didn't so much as flinch. "Hey, are you okay?" I asked, and crouched beside him, placing one hand on his shoulder. His body trembled. "You didn't understand what she said." He peeked at me through the cracks between his fingers. My Arabic amounts to ordering food and getting directions to the train station. Not my area. "What she said was something that should never be said." I thought about making a joke at this point, but my friend was clearly shaken. "What exactly did she say?" "I won't repeat it, but it was a kind of curse on me, my family. It involved some powerful jinn." He swallowed, and what looked like a tear glistened in his eye. "Oz, mate, come on. You're not exactly super religious or anything. It's old fairy tales, and she's obviously a crazy old bat." "You didn't hear what she said about my family." He wiped his eyes. I should have just given her the stupid ice cream. "Next time, eh? Now, come on." I hauled Oz to his feet. His breath was still short, his skin paler than its usual olive tone, but I hoped he'd be okay. "Sorry, man. It's your last night. Marie said she'd hold the fort here this evening. Let's grab some food down by the river, then go to the music bar. What do you think?" Something about the way he delivered his words told me he was still anguished. But what could I say? Sounds perfect. Marie, like me, said the old lady was probably mad, just trying to make trouble or scare Oz to get what she wanted. She offered to handle it the next time she came by to beg. This seemed to calm Oz's nerves, and he was more like his old self as we sat at the small restaurant at the riverside. "So, when are you coming back?" he asked, scooping up at half a kofta and some pickled red cabbage with his flatbread. "Well, I have a speaking event with the French team in Paris in September, but apart from that, I'm a free agent until something else crops up. Perhaps in the spring, when it starts to get warm here and London is still drowning in torrential rain." I sliced through my Adana kebab and took a bite. Are you feeling okay now? After what happened earlier, I mean. The old woman. Oz grasped his glass and drained a third of his beer, then wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. What do you know about gin? Wishes, lamps, Disney's Aladdin, basically, I chuckled. There are stories like that one. Others where they are simple tricksters making fun with children or hiding things. But there are others. Others? I raised an eyebrow theatrically. He leaned across the table and whispered, Some of them are like your demons. Wicked. Dangerous. I drank a long swallow of beer. First of all, they aren't my demons. I'm an unbeliever. And secondly, those are just stories. Like hellfire, there to make you behave yourself when you feel like doing something bad. I eyed Oz's beer. Not working too well, is it? Oz finished his food and pushed his plate to one side. I haven't been to prayers in years, but the gin still scare me to death. What scares me to death is that I might not be able to get any decent kunefe when I get back to London, I said, and signalled to the waiter. Slivers of sunlight were already creeping across my face, dragging me from slumber when I heard Oz's raised voice outside. I tapped my phone screen, just before 6. I had to be up in a few minutes to get my taxi to the airport. I fought my way out of bed and pulled on some clothes, all the while listening to Oz shrieking from below on the street. I opened the window. Hey, what's going on? I didn't need an answer. The ice cream trolley had been moved into the middle of the street and unplugged. The sun, which had risen at least an hour earlier, had turned Oz's entire stock to mush. Look at this! Fucking look! He tugged at his thick hair, gaze fixed on the trolley. I closed the window and brushed my teeth before stuffing the last of my things into my suitcase and rucksack. I hurried downstairs and out into the morning sun, sweat already clamming up under my arms. How did it get out here? I said, descending the last few steps. How do you think? I made a face. How the hell was I supposed to know? Wasn't it locked up when we got back last? It's always locked up, he snapped back. I glanced over at the heavy chain that held it. Open, discarded on the floor. Someone's opened it. Marie? Why would she? And even if she did, come here. He gesticulated wildly. I strode over. Move it. He stood aside, hands on hips. I put 2 hands on it and shoved. The casters creaked, but the machine barely budged. Must be 200 kilos, I said. 235, empty. No way Marie can move this thing. It was the fucking... Don't say it. I held up my hand. How else do you explain it? I don't know. I paced up and down, bent to look for some sign of how it could have been shoved from its shady spot at one side of the bar. What I think is the old widow told her thug sons or nephews or whoever to come round and fuck up your ice cream fridge. That's how I explain it. Oz rubbed his neat beard. That is the sort of thing that could happen. I moved over, opened my arms. I have to get going, mate. Oz closed his arms around me in a bear hug, his wiry frame belying his strength. Want me to help you push it back into the shade before I go? He shook his head. I have to empty it and clean it before restocking. I'll get Serdar from the shisha place to give me a hand when I'm done. I moved back to my cases, ready to wheel the big one down the cobbled road to the taxi rank. So, this is farewell. Gule gule, my friend. He reached out and we shook hands before I trundled off to find a taxi. I'd been back in London for about 5 days, mostly consumed by laundry and making arrangements for my trip to Paris later in the year. Despite technically being early summer, the sky was an oppressive sheet of varying shades of grey. The air was humid, sticky. Public transport was close to unbearable, yet I found myself on a bus, moving staccato along Euston Road. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I fished it out to find an incoming WhatsApp voice call from Oz. I picked up, my voice projecting the smile I wore across the airwaves. Oz, how are you doing, man? Seb, I need to talk to you. Something has happened. His voice was grave, lifeless. I put my free hand over my other ear, trying to block out the background noise. What's the matter? Is it Marie? Marie's fine. It's something very unusual. On my parents' farm. I don't know how to... Where are you? I'm on a bus, mate. Sorry about all the noise. Are there a lot of people near? It's a London bus. In June. It's rammed. I need you to see this, to understand, but the people might be afraid. I tapped the elderly lady sitting next to me, herself on the phone, on one shoulder, and gestured for her to move. She hauled herself up and I squeezed through, mouthing a sorry as I passed her. I double-pressed the bell and the bus quickly stopped outside the British Library. Are you still there? Yes. Are you ready? 1 second. I'm jumping off the bus right now. I'm going to hang up and send, okay? Call me back when you've looked. I'm waiting. The phone clicked off. I felt weird in that moment. I was standing on one of the country's busiest roads, having just spoken to someone who'd become a firm friend thousands of miles away. Somehow everything felt distant, like the camera on my life had zoomed out and I was watching from some faraway vantage point. I leaned back against the red brick wall and clutched my phone, waiting for the screen to light up with whatever it was Oz wanted me to see. Finally, the device vibrated and glowed, notifications cascading over one another. 5 messages. I swiped the screen and opened the messages. My hand's passage to cover my mouth was every bit as involuntary as breathing or cell division. The first image was a close-up. One of their milk goats, on its back, legs smashed at the knee joints so it lay spread-eagled. The chest was crudely ripped open, a cavity surrounded by irregular jutting bones. Entrails spewed seemingly at random from the bloody mouth that its underbelly had become. The heart was missing. I retched, but got a hold of myself, choking back whatever substance was trying to evacuate me. I swiped through to the next image, another close-up. It showed the animal's mouth, filled with a spectrum of blood from crimson to black, the full length of the mandible visible as the tongue had been hacked away, leaving only a glistening raw stump. I hit the button at the side of my phone, blanking the screen to a welcome darkness, and allowed my arms drop to my side. Fuck me, I said aloud, then began a mental 10 count, readying myself for the next image. I clicked it back on and opened the third photo, a close-up of the top of the head. The eyes were burned in such a way that there was no way of knowing that they'd ever been there. No tissue remained. They'd been scorched out. The skin around them had been heated sufficiently. It had blistered, even beneath the coarse fur these Turkish mountain goats possessed. Unable to see more, I pressed the call button at the top of the chat window and lifted the phone to my ear. It had barely rung once when I was answered. He didn't speak. I can't believe what they did to that poor creature, I said. How many photos did you see? 3, quite enough. So you didn't see the others? Look, whatever else they did to it, I got the message. The other goats, not the other pictures. I'm not sure I follow. They did this to more of them. All of them. 18. All the same. Who? You know who. Or what? Oz, look, don't tell me this is mumbo jumbo. Of course, this is horrible. But this is a criminal act. Nothing more that... Will you help me? Help you with what? The goats? I'm in London. I don't know if I can do anything from here. I have the curse. I remembered it, like the words were imprinted on my memory. I asked the imam to write it down. He began but stopped, said he would not, threw me out. Do you know someone? Someone who knows Arabic, who knows curses? Will you help me? I took a huge gulp of breath. Then, I'll help you if I can. I'll make a few calls. Thank you, my friend. And that's where I'm going to leave it. That's the end of chapter 1. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's a bit long. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, please do check out Shadow of the Hidden. It's available everywhere you buy books now, in ebook and paperback. There's an audiobook forthcoming soon enough. And yeah, if you want to find it somewhere, you just go to bookstoread.com/Shadow of the Hidden, all one word. And I'll put the link in the comments. But yeah, leave a comment if you like the sound of this. And do check it out if you get the chance. Thanks for watching.